Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Rowe. We're taking a look in Geometry Part A. This is Lesson 8, and we're going to talk about problem solving with triangles. So let's take a look at what we're talking about here. Remember, in the lesson, we have talked about two theorems. The first theorem was the interior angles sum theorem. So that means that we're talking about all the interior angles, and we said that the sum of the interior angles is 180. The other theorem was the exterior sum theorem, or the exterior angle theorem. We'll look at that one as we get closer to the end, but let's take a look at the interior angle theorem. Here is a multi-step problem. We're going to try to find this angle. Let me move this over a little bit. All right, so right there. So we're trying to find this angle right here, but in order to do that, we're going to have to figure out the rest of this triangle first, figure out this angle right here. So I'm going to label that with my X right there. And I figured that out, then I'm going to have to figure out this angle and then use that to figure out this final angle. So we got a lot of work to do here. So let's get started. So the interior sum theorem says that if we add all three angles, we get 180. So for the first triangle, we have to add 48 plus 79 plus X. And if we do that, we'll get 180 degrees. So let's pull out our calculator and let's add these things up. So I'm going to add these two values right here, 48 plus 79. That gives us 127 degrees. And then we're going to do a one-step equation here to solve for X. So that's subtract 127 from each side. And 180 minus 127, again, pull out your calculator. Don't be afraid to use it. You're allowed to. So 120 or 180 minus 127 is 53 degrees. So X is 53 degrees. So this angle right here, we now know is 53. So now we got to figure out this X. So here's another problem we got to do. Well, we know based on this right here that this angle is 90 degrees. So to figure out that other angle, we're going to take 90 because they're complementary angles. We're going to subtract 53 to get our new value for X. Again, pull that calculator out. 90 minus Mr. Rowe, minus 53 is 37 degrees. So this angle is 37. And finally, we got one more thing to solve. We're going to use 37 and 74 to help us figure out this value right here. So 37 plus 74 plus X is going to equal 180 degrees. And so 37 plus 74 equals 111 degrees. We got 111 plus X is going to equal 180. And then finally, we're going to subtract 111 from each side. And so our final value, which is our final missing angle, pull out that calculator, 180 minus 111 is 69 degrees. So going back to the beginning here, we had a lot to do here. We had to first figure out this angle, and then we had to use that angle to figure out this angle, and then finally use that angle to figure out that missing value, which we just figured out was 69 degrees. All right, so let's take a look at our next problem. So here is another multi-step triangle sum problem. So what we got to figure out here is we need to figure out this angle. Well, to figure out that angle, we're going to have to figure out this one first. And then we're going to use something we learned way back in lesson 1, I believe. and then we'll finally figure out the missing value. So again, we're going to use the triangle sum theorem. 63 plus 33 plus the missing value will equal 180. So we're going to add these two values together. I'm not going to use a calculator for that one. 63 plus 33 is 96. And then we're going to subtract 96 from each side. And so we got 180, and that is a 0 there, Mr. Rowe. Please make your letters look like the numbers they are, Mr. Rowe. So we got 180 minus 96, and that's going to equal 84 degrees. So that means this angle is 84 degrees. Well, if you remember from lesson, I believe it's lesson 1, we can talk about vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent, so that means this angle is also 84 degrees. So now we have a second part of this problem. We've got to use 84 with 27 to figure out that missing value right there. So 84 plus 27 plus x is going to equal 180. Again, pull out that calculator. We got here. We have 84 plus 27. That's going to equal 111. That's a coincidence, by the way. I just picked some random problems, and 2 of them ended up with 111 in them. So we're going to subtract 111 from each side. And so x is going to equal, again, we got 180 minus 111, and we'll get 69 degrees. So this angle right here is 69 degrees. That's our final answer. So this one really is just a two-step process, but we still have to find this missing angle right here first, then use that because these are vertical angles and they are congruent to help us figure out that missing value. All right, one more. This one's a little more complicated than the last one. We got a lot going on here as well. We've got a two-step process here. We've got to figure out this value and then use these two angles to help us figure out, and I'm going to label this one as y, and then use that value to figure out this value. So let's start with this first triangle. And we've got 37 plus 88 plus x will have to equal 180 degrees. So we're going to add 37 and 88 together. That's 125 degrees. Solve for x, we're going to subtract 125 from each side. And so x is going to end up equaling 180 minus 125. Which is going to be 55 degrees. Okay, so what's the next step? So this angle is 55. Well, these three together form a linear pair. So we're going to have to make another problem here. So 55 is actually not a linear pair, it'd be a linear triple, plus 68 plus y. Since they all form a straight line, those are going to equal 180 degrees. So now we're going to add these two values, 55 plus 68. That's 123. Subtract 123 from each side to solve for y. And let's see, we got 180 minus 123. And that gives us 57. So y is 57. Well, and we're still not done yet. So we've got this angle right here is 57. Let me erase some of this stuff so we know where we're at. We just figured out that this angle is 57 degrees. So now we're going to use 57 and 55 to figure out y. I'm going to write the equation, then we'll scroll up a little bit. So we have 57 plus 55 plus x is going to equal 180 degrees. So again, we're going to add these two together. So we got 57 plus 55. That's 112 degrees. So we have 112 plus x is going to equal 180. Now again, to solve for x, we're going to subtract 112 from each side. And x is going to equal 180 minus 112. Which is going to be 68. So there it is, folks. Here is, and this is going to be actually part A of the problem solving. We're going to do a part B as well. This is running a little bit longer than I thought it would, so we're going to do 2 parts for the problem solving. But these are 3-step problems here for the most part to figure out the missing value. So if you have trouble with this concept, please let us know in a teacher message. I'll make an appointment for a help session.